Hi, welcome to your yoga class. It's Tuesday, December the 8th. So a lot of you guys maybe have gone home and spending time back with your parents. Some of you may still be in Leicester and Coventry and the other code sites. So wherever you find yourself today or this evening, then welcome to class. This is a pre-recorded class, so feel free to pause at any point, maybe do half a class, come back to it. It's an hour long in total. Now, it's a little bit different in style today. This is a yin yoga class or a yin style yoga class. Yin yoga is mainly done down on the ground, so we won't be doing a huge amount of sun salutations or flow yoga tonight or this evening. It's going to be more to do with opening up the hips, opening up, stretching into the lower back, and we hold the poses for a little bit longer. So generally in flow yoga, some of the hatha yoga styles which I teach, we'll be holding sometimes for 2 breaths, sometimes for 3 breaths, sometimes for 4. Here we'll be holding the poses for maybe 2, 3, 4, and up to 5 minutes at a time. So that might sound like a very easy practice to do, but it's really important to tune in with the breath as you go through the class. So it can be a little bit challenging because we are holding poses for longer. And that's why it's really important to come back to the breath. And there's a few techniques. You can count breaths. You can use a mantra while you're using, while you're actually in these poses. And I'll talk you through that as we go along today. The idea of yin yoga is to really stretch out the fascia, and that's the fascia is the kind of connective tissues which envelop the muscles, and obviously then stretching out the muscles as well. And as I say, it really gets into those areas that become very tight: hamstrings, hips, back, especially kind of the hip area. So it's very nourishing. And at this time of year, when we've got these nights which are drawing in, or the nights have drawn in already, it's dark and it's cold. There's a lot of uncertainties. And this is a real kind of nourishing practice for you, which hopefully you're going to enjoy. So let's get on with it. Just before we start, if you've got anything like a block, so these are yoga blocks. You've got different kind of sizes. If you don't have anything like this, then maybe like a book. So you can have like a book this size or a book this size. It's just to kind of support yourself. So in some of the poses, when you're there for longer, they can be nice to kind of put your sit bones on. They can be nice to place under your hips. They can be nice to place your head on, your chest, whatever feels good. Maybe something which is more relevant would be a blanket. So you can kind of use a blanket or a pillow or a duvet, something that again can support the body. These are all really useful kind of props that we can use in yin yoga. If you don't have any of those things, it's not a massive problem because you won't need them, but it'll just make your practice a little bit more comfortable, especially if you're not used to this style. So if you haven't done already, find a comfortable seat. You might be sat cross-legged. You might be kind of sat on your heels like I am here. Whatever feels good for you. Just notice your connection. Notice your connection of your sit bones down into the floor and feel some length in the spine. So that idea of drawing length into the spine. So instead of kind of sitting like this, draw length into the spine. Nice. Slight tuck of the chin. Just so again, you're not kind of like the chin's come down or the head's up. The chin's nice and neutral. And then we're going to start with some alternate nostril breathing, which we've done quite a few times in my classes before. So what we do is we'll block off alternate nostrils. It's called Nadi Shodhana. It's a really nice breath rhythm to do before a class or just at the start of a class. It's a balancing breath. Think about the right nostril as being the accelerator, the left nostril being the brake. So this kind of activates and this calms us down. So let's do this. Left hand just onto the knee or onto your thigh. And I like to bring the thumb and forefinger together. It's a little mudra which we hold, or hand position. And then the right hand up towards the face. And then all you're going to do is you can just tuck the middle 3 fingers in or 2 fingers in, whatever feels good for you. I'm going to tuck 3 in, and then I'm going to block off the right nostril with the thumb, left nostril off with the little finger. And I'll talk you through this. So bring the hand up towards the nose, the right hand. Maybe close the eyes or keep the gaze soft. Block off the right nostril and take a nice deep exhale through the left nostril. Inhale through the left. Block off left with a little finger. Exhale through the right. Inhale right. Block off right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Block off left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block off right with the thumb. Exhale left. Inhale fully through the left. Block off left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block off right. Exhale fully through the left. Inhale left. Block it off. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block off right. Exhale left. 2 more rounds. Inhale left. Block it off. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block off right with the thumb. Exhale left. Keep lengthening the spine. Inhale left. Block off left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block it off. Exhale left for the final time. And then bring the right hand down to meet the left. Maybe keep the eyes closed or the gaze soft. And just notice the changes in your practice so far. Hopefully feeling a little bit more balanced, a little calmer. And preparing us for the physical aspect of the class. And then in your own time, if the eyes are still closed, just gently come with the eyes open. Nice, really nice, beautiful. So I'm going to move here. I'm going to move back onto my mat. And then if you're sat in a cross-legged position, just stay there. Bring your hands onto the knees. Let me just move this here because I might use this in a little bit. So make sure you've got your props close by. So a blanket or a cushion, maybe a duvet or something like that. So come down to sit. You may be here already. Nice. Bring the hands onto the knees. Inhale the chest forward and then exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. So we're just going to move just a few times, just rotating the torso around the hips. Just check in with the physical body for the first time. And then come counterclockwise. See how the hips feel, see how the lower back feels. So we'll do a little bit of moving for maybe the first 10 minutes of the class, and then we'll get into some longer holds. Inhale back to center, and then exhale, and then a little twist. So what we're going to do, we're going to sit here cross-legged again, left hand on the right knee, right hand behind, press into the fingers or maybe into the palm, but what you're trying to look for is a nice straight spine. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, just twist over to the right. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist. So you're not moving too much here. Try and keep the chin in line with the sternum. Try not to kind of move the head around too much. Inhale, you find length. And then exhale, maybe twist a little bit more. Inhale back to center. And then exhale fully. Let's do the other side. Place the right hand on the left knee, left hand behind. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Moving gently here. Inhale, you find length. And exhale, you just come into the twist a little bit more. Inhale out the twist, find length. Exhale back into the twist. So nice gentle movement here. And then inhale back to center. Beautiful. And then from here, just rock over onto one hip, whatever feels good, and then come to all fours. So you're just going to come into tabletop position. Just remove my watch. So set yourself up in tabletop. Nice. Spread through the fingers. Have a look at the knees. Make sure they're stacked right below the hips. Press the feet into the floor. Really nice habit to get into is to really spread through the fingers. So here we are in table. Take an inhale. Drop the belly down. Head and the heart lift. And then exhale round into the spine. Cat and cow. Inhale. Drop the belly down. Head and the heart lift. Exhale round. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. If you've lost your breath rhythm, come back to the breath and try and keep the breath nice and controlled all the way through the class. You're inhaling forward here, and you exhale, you're round. Inhale forward, exhale round. A couple more in your own time. Really lovely way to open up the spine. And then inhale back to center. And exhale fully. And then from here, we're going to come into child's pose. So what I like to do is split the knees nice and wide. My knees are kind of on the edges of the mat. I bring my big toes together. And on this first one, I walk my hands back. I just come to sit on my heels. So this is the position we're in here. And then I'm just going to walk the hands forward. I'm trying to keep this connection of the heels onto the sit bones. Extended child's pose. So spread out through the fingers again. Maybe bring the head down onto the floor. This is where it's useful if you've got a block, for example. You can always place the head on a block. So you can come down here. This just allows you to keep this connection of the sit bones down onto the heels. It's not massively important if they're not there, but the intention is they come down. You've got a little bit more room. Bring the head all the way down. This will be one of our longer holds. So connect here with the breath. Deep inhales, excuse me, and full exhales. And the wider the knees are, the more of a stretch you'll feel into the hips. And really stretching out the spine and the lower back, the lumbar spine. Just check in with your jaw, make sure the face is nice and relaxed, the tongue's nice and relaxed in the mouth. And if we're used to a more dynamic style of yoga, holding the poses here like this can be a little bit challenging. Not just physically, but also mentally. You know, we're so used to moving around and being busy. So this can be a little bit counterintuitive. If you do really struggle, you can count your breath. So you might just count the inhale and then the exhale.
That's 1. Count the inhale. In the exhale, that's 2. You might use a mantra, and a nice mantra which people use in yin yoga is inhale the word so, S-O. Exhale the word hum, H-U-M. So on an inhale, hum on an exhale. So hum, I am that. Or maybe you would like to use a mantra, inhaling the word sat, exhaling the word nam, inhaling the word sat, exhaling the word nam. Sat nam, truth is my identity. And that idea of living life from a heartfelt place. So find something that works for you. And try not to move in these poses. And once the mind gets agitated, then the tendency is to start to move around in the body. And you might be feeling slight discomfort, and that's fine. Just come back to the breath. And then from here, take 3 more inhales and exhales. And then in your own time, and there's no rush here, transitions are really important in yin yoga. Very slowly, just come back to a tabletop position. So just take your time, remove any props that you might have used, and then come back to table. Maybe just pad the feet out. Nice. Maybe you just kind of stretch into the toes, wriggle the feet around, roll out the ankles, whatever you need to do. And then from here, we'll just do another little movement into the core. So we're going to work on core balance, but also working on just opening up the body a little bit more. So take an inhale, just sweep the right leg back. Nice. Look at my toes, they're pointing right down towards the floor, so I'm not doing this. Nice. So you may stay here. Already you might feel yourself begin to wobble around a little bit. You might float out the left arm. Nice. So you just got the left arm out, the right arm out. Take some breaths here. We won't be here for too long. You might want to stay here, or you might want to bend into this right knee, sweep the left arm behind. Nice. Catch hold of the foot, and then just kick the foot into the hand. So you give yourself a nice stretch into the hip flexor on the right hand side. You're also stretching into the right quad. So the quad muscles can get really tight. The hip flexors can get really tight. These big muscle groups at the front of our legs, right at the top. And then in your own time, exhale, bring everything down to the mat. And then just set yourself up for the other side, moving nice and slowly here. Inhale, left leg back. Nice. Feel length through that left leg. You may stay here. You may float out the right arm. The length down the arm, length through the leg. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you bend into the left knee. You can sweep the right arm behind, catch hold of the foot, kick the foot into the hand. Nice. And then exhale, bring everything down. Beautiful. From here, just have the toes tucked under, and then just walk the hands back. You just do a little toe squat here, not for long, just a couple of breaths. Bring the weight back. If this feels too much, you can always come forward onto the hands, or you bring the hands onto the thighs.
You should feel this stretch into the toes. Can feel a little bit intense, so come back to the breath. Excellent work. Sometimes when you're in this pose, you're like, what is going on? Maybe you've got very flexible toes and you don't feel it too much. Beautiful. From here, if you haven't done already, just bring the hands down. Bring the tops of the feet onto the mat and then just give them a little pat out. Beautiful. And then just come to stand. Any way that feels good for you. And then we're going to hold a pose here just for a little bit longer. So have the feet about hip width apart. Press the soles of the feet into the floor. And when I say that, just feel the four corners of your feet. So that's just that feeling of being grounded. Feet are lined up to just the top and the bottom edge of your mat. Or you might be standing the other way around, but just make sure that your feet are lined up. And then from here, all you're going to do is you're going to fold forward. Now, I'd encourage you to keep a nice, generous bend in the knees. And then you're just going to come down and you're just going to let the weight hold you. Nice bend in the knees just to protect the lower back. And then up to you what you do with the hands. So you might keep the hands down on the floor like this. You might bring them onto the knees and kind of stay here. You can always hang in ragdoll. And then just grab opposite elbows. And we'll stay here for a little bit longer. Bring the weight into the toes. Keep a bend in the knees. Bring the belly down towards the thighs. Eliminate that gap between belly and thighs. Let the head be heavy. And just stand in forward fold. Try and remain still. If everything's beginning to feel okay in the lower back and the hamstrings, and you've got that bend in the knees, maybe just begin to straighten the legs. But I'd encourage you to keep a micro bend in the knees. Maybe it's more about just lifting at the tailbone or lifting at the waist and just trying to find that kind of tilt here, right at the waist. Notice how the lower back feels. Don't put too much pressure there. Notice how the hamstrings feel. And then just taking 3 more breaths here. If you had your hands in ragdoll and you've got them just touching each elbow, just bring the hands down and then bend deeper into the knees. And with the hands just hanging and the arms hanging, just roll up through the spine, just vertebrae by vertebrae, really slowly. I always think about a zombie here. Zombie yoga. Nice, really nice. And then just have a little intuitive move around here. Maybe you kick out the feet. You might kind of just do this kind of thing, just swing the arms from side to side. Little bit of movement. Beautiful. And then we'll do a squat, not for too long. So if you find that you can't bring your heels down when you come into a squat, then you might use like a rolled up blanket or a cushion or a pillow, something like that. So bring the feet, so just wider than hip width. Toes are just pointing out. And then you might just bring the hands to heart center. And then you're just going to very slowly bend at the knees and then come down into a garland squat, which is here. So again, if you find that the heels lift, just bring them onto something like a blanket. So you can do this kind of thing. Nice. I'm going to keep mine here just because it felt good. And then what I like to do is bring my hands to prayer, right at heart center. And then I'm using the force of my arms just to open out my knees a little bit. So I'm pressing my elbows into my inner knees. And then I'm sinking my hips down as much as I can. I'm trying to keep my spine, trying to keep my spine with length in it. And then I'm breathing deeply here. This is a fantastic pose just to open up the inner hips. So we like to work on the inner hips, the outer hips in these classes. Come back to the breath. Maybe close the eyes. Drop right into the pose here. Maybe using that mantra, inhaling so, exhaling hum, or inhaling sat, exhaling nam. Maybe you're just counting. You find something that works for you. You're concentrating on the breath. You're trying to keep as still as possible. And take 3 more breaths here. Beautiful work. One more deep inhale. And a full exhale. And then first of all, just bring the hands down just to support your weight. Then bring the hands behind, fingers pointing forward, and then just come down really slowly. Beautiful. And then have the feet so they're about hip width apart. Fingers are pointing forward. And then just windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. Just a little bit of movement here. Nice work. And then bring the knees back to center. Just adjust this microphone. Once you bring the knees back to center, just hug the knees in. So you're going to walk the feet right towards your sit bones. And then you're just going to wrap one arm around and the other arm around. So you just wrap around the knees and then let the head come down towards the knees. Or maybe the forehead is on the knees. This is called cosmic egg. It's a really nice release into the lower back. Just check in with your experience so far. Notice the effects of your practice. And slowly inhale the head back to center. And then exhale, just release everything. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to come lying down onto our backs. I'm just going to roll out this blanket so I'm nice and comfortable. So come down onto your back. And then when you're down onto your back, maybe you momentarily straighten the legs out. And then when you feel like you need to or you want to, just hug the knees into the chest. So you might start here. Feels good. Feel the full length of the spine. And then you might hug one knee into the chest. You might hug the other knee into the chest and then just grab around the knees or grab around the shins. And you might just rock it out from side to side. Nice. Really nice work. And then bring both feet down onto the floor. So they're about hip width apart. Bring the shoulders down so the shoulder girdle is nice and broad here and relaxed. And then all you're going to do is you're going to bring the right foot over the left knee. So this is reclined pigeon pose. So you might stay here. This might be enough. You might get the right hand and press it against the right knee. You might already feel this stretch into this outer right hip, maybe in the inner right hip. If you wanted to move any further, you can grab through the gap, grab around the left thigh. If you want to go further and you've got more room, you might grab around the left shin. So whatever works for you. I'm going to go here around the thigh and breathe long and deep. Maybe close the eyes. Make sure the back of the neck is long. So the back of the head is nice and flat on the floor. Your shoulders are relaxed. So if you came into here and you find that you're kind of in this position, then maybe just come where I am and everything can relax down. Remembering these slightly longer holds down here on our back, I'll speak a little bit less. So don't think that the recording has paused or I've got away. Use your breath. And then just taking 3 more breaths in this reclined pigeon on the right hand side. Beautiful. End of that exhale, just drop the left foot down onto the floor. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cross the right leg so it comes right it comes right over the left leg. And have a look at your knees. So left knee and right knee, they want to be pretty much in line. And then we're going to come into a pose called reclined shoelace. So a couple of options. The knees are crossed, pretty much in line. You might come into it here where you grab around the top knee. So this might be good. Or you might grab around the feet here and then relax everything back down and then breathe long and deep here. So either grab around the knee or grab around the feet. You want to pull the feet back towards you. And you want to find that sensation in the right hip. You might feel it into the right glute. Back to the breath. There's that idea in all styles of yoga, not just yin yoga, that you want to find that sensation which is not too much, but not too little. So find your edge and then connect back with the breath.
And then taking 3 more breaths here. And then at the end of that 3rd breath, just release the feet down, or release that left foot down and the right leg is just over. And then from here, as soon as we've got the legs in this position, we can come into a nice twist. So bring the arms out parallel, inhale the knees up to center, shift the hips over to the right. So you just kind of like scooch the hips over, and then you just drop the knees down to the left. Nice. The higher the knees, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. If this feels too much for you, then just stack the right knee on top of the left. So you just come into a twist like this. So whatever works for you. Maybe the gaze is straight up. Maybe you look down this right arm. And then your final 3 breaths in this twist. And then preparing to move. Remember, transitions are so important. Slight engagement into the core. Take an inhale. If the knees are still crossed, uncross the knees. And then just straighten the legs out down your mat. Palms face up, feet fall open. Just a few breaths here. Really nice. Setting up for the other side. So bend the knees in. If you feel like you want to hug the knees into the chest and kind of rock out any tension that might have built up in the spine, feel free to do that. And then bringing both feet down, just about hip width apart, can just about touch the Achilles. And then the tailbone is nice and long. So you're really flattening that lower spine down into the mat. And then this time, left foot over the right knee. And then whatever position you took up on the first side, I would take that up on the second side as well, just to find that balance in the body. So for me, I'm going to thread through the gap. I'm going to grab around the back of the right thigh. And then I'm going to bring my shoulder girdle down onto the floor. Back of my neck is long, where the shoulders are relaxed as they can be. Nice. And then come back to the breath. If you feel like you want a little bit more juice, then you can always bring this right knee back against the left foot. Maybe just keep it nice and sustainable for the first few breaths. And if you feel like you've got plenty more room, maybe you just bring that little bit more intention into the pose. But again, same thing, find your edge, not too much, not too little.
And then just your final 3 breaths again. Beautiful. Slowly, really gently, bring the right foot down onto the floor and then fully cross the left leg over the right leg. So again, little visual, have a look at the knees, make sure they're pretty much stacked. And then we're going to do this reclined shoelace on this side. So maybe grab around the knee, the right knee, you can come here, or you grab around the feet, pull the feet in towards you. And nice. Relax everything down. Maybe close the eyes. And you're just pulling the feet back towards you, just so you feel that stretch in the left-hand side, maybe the glute, maybe the hip. Soften your tailbone down towards the floor, so lumbar spine or lower spine is nice and flat. And then just come into your final 3 breaths again. And then at the end of that 3rd breath, just dropping the right foot down this time. Might keep this left knee just wrapped over in the same position. Bring the arms out, scoot the hips over to the left this time. So you kind of move the hips from the center of the mat over to the left, and then you just drop the knees down. Remember, you can always do this, and you can just stack the knees on top of each other. So you come into this position. So whatever twist feels good for you. Feel free, if the neck feels okay, to look down the left arm. Or the gaze is just straight up or the eyes are closed. Three more breaths here. And then transitioning very slowly, bring the knees back to center and then uncross the legs and then have the feet so they're about hip width apart and then just drop the knees to either side. So you just windscreen wiping the knees from side to side, dropping one knee down, dropping the other knee down. Yeah, really nice. Release through the hips, release through the lower back. And then slowly bring the knees back to center and then hug the knees into the chest. So it's up to you what you do from this point on. We're going to come onto our fronts. So you can either just roll over to one side. If you've got a little bit of energy in the body, then you can roll up and down the spine a few times. So you might roll forward, might roll back. Try and find that balance point as you do that. This can feel really good. Massaging out the spine and the lower back, especially after being down on the floor for a reasonable amount of time. Maybe do 4 or 5 more. Make sure you're protecting the cervical spine, the neck, not rolling too far. And then eventually come sit all the way up. Yeah, beautiful. A little bit of fun as well. And then this time, just roll over onto your hip and then come lying down onto your mat. You're just going to lie down onto your front, really simply. And then as you come down, we're going to come up into Sphinx pose. So the way I like to think about this, I like to walk my elbows back so they're stacked right underneath my shoulders, excuse me, and then my hands are about hip width apart, shoulder width apart, spread through my fingers. My feet just press into the mat, activate through my legs, just very slightly, and then I take an inhale and I lift the chest and the heart up. So you don't have to come up too far. What you might feel is you might feel that little compression in the lower spine. You can just gaze forward or close the eyes. Some people like to kind of move very slowly through the neck. So you might look over to the right. You might look over to the left. If you're doing this, work very gently. Moving to the right. Moving to the left. When you feel like you've had a nice sort of massage through the neck, maybe come back to center. And if you wanted to, you can always kind of let the chin drop down. You don't have to be here. Make sure there's no tension in the neck. Maybe you press a little bit more into the forearms just to find that lift in the chest and that compression in the lower spine. Sphinx pose. And then take 3 more breaths here. End of that 3rd breath on the exhale, just bring the hands together and wing the elbows out. So you kind of, the elbows come wide and then bring the right knee up so it's in line with your right hip. And then just look to the right hand side. Little commando crawl. This is a nice way to release through the hips. Maybe close the eyes, just let the weight of the body sink into the floor. Really nice. Bring that right leg back to center. And then just bring yourself back into Sphinx. So you've got an option here. Walk the elbows back, make sure they're underneath the shoulders. You can stay here if you wanted to, or you can bring the hands out or the arms straight, and then the fingers just, I like to bring my fingers at an angle so they're just pointing off the mat. This is called seal pose. It's the same kind of thing as Sphinx, but it's a little bit more intense. Press the feet into the floor though. Nice, so you might stay here. If you really have a flexible back, you might walk the hands back a little bit further towards the hips. So whatever works for you, either in seal or in Sphinx. Nice. Same thing if you wanted to kind of move the head, have a little massage through the neck. Really gently here. Always taking extra care of the neck and the cervical spine. And maybe bringing the head back to center. And then take 3 more breaths, either in your Sphinx or in your seal pose. And then slowly lower down. Bring the hands together, wing the elbows out. This time, left knee comes up in line with the left hip. Look to the left-hand side and totally let go. And then slowly bring that left leg back to meet the right. And then just place the hands underneath the shoulders and press yourself back just to sit on the heels, just momentarily. And place the palms face up. Nice work, really nice. So we're going to do one more pose and we'll be there for a good amount of time. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find a wall. You need to find a flat bit of, well, not a flat bit of wall, a wall that you can get your legs up. Saying that, I don't have a wall that I can get my legs up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it over here, just at the banisters, just so you can see what I'm doing. So this is just a really relaxing pose. You're going to bring your legs up the wall, and then there's lots of variations. So the way I like to get into it, if you've got a blanket, then that can even be nicer, just to have a little bit of support on your lower back. So come up against your wall, and you're just going to bring your hips up against the wall. So you're going to sit sideways to the wall. And then all you do, when you sit sideways to the wall, make sure you're in a good, comfortable position, and then you just lift the legs up. And because your hips were right up against the wall, you should feel your tailbone just relax down. And then from here, just have a little move around, whatever feels good for you. You can have the feet together. You can work a little bit more into the hips and the inner thighs and separate the feet. Palms can face up. So whatever works. Maybe close the eyes. Think about your tailbone. So if you find that, your tailbone is lifting, try and flatten that lower spine down. And this is all about the release. If the hamstrings feel tight, just put a little bend in the knees. I'm going to have my feet just wider than hip distance apart. My palms are going to be face up, and my arms are nice and wide. I'm flattening my tailbone down towards the floor, and now I'm letting go. This is a beautiful posture to do before bed. It's deeply relaxing. And then as you've found that comfortable position, just come back to your breath. Maybe using your mantra. You might be inhaling so, exhaling hum. You might be inhaling sat, exhaling nam. You might just be counting. And then just taking your final 3 breaths here. And then just preparing to move. If the feet were a little bit wider apart, then just bring the feet together or the legs together, and then just bend into the knees to keep the soles of the feet on the wall, and then just walk the feet down. And then you've got into that position where you're hugging your knees into your chest. And then from here, just roll back over from where you started the position, and then just place your head down and let your hand, your lower hand, just support your head. And then in your own time, and there really is no rush here, press yourself back up. Nice. And then just come to sit on your mat. So you might have moved away from your mat. You might have moved to the wall. So just take your time here. Nice. And then just come to find a comfortable seat. So whatever feels good for you. I'm going to sit over this bolster. You might be sat cross-legged. You might be sat on a blanket. Bring the hands somewhere. In fact, let's do this because this feels really good. Left hand is lower down, and then the right hand just goes over the left. So left hand and the right palm just goes on top. Bring the thumbs together. So you've got this kind of mudra, this hand position. And then just feel the length in the spine. Maybe close the eyes. Come back to your breath. And then just check in with your practice. Check in with the effects of your practice. It's a different style of yoga to maybe what you're used to. But it can be so beneficial when used in conjunction with a more energetic vinyasa or hatha style yoga. For people who suffer with tight hips and hamstrings and lower back, it's a fantastic posture, or fantastic practice, should I say. For people who struggle to be still, it can be a really nourishing practice. Challenging as well, but you'll find over 3 or 4 or 5 classes, you really get into the flow of this yin style. From here, just place your hands at heart center. Press the thumbs into the sternum, lengthen the spine. And maybe just repeat this little mantra. I am connected to my heart. My heart never lets me down. I am loving. I am lovable. I am courageous. I have the characteristics of courage. I have what it takes to take the next step forward. And then you might just bow your head down to your prayer, maybe a little smile. Congratulate yourself on practicing today. Namaste. Thanks so much for practicing. We've got a couple of weeks left before we finish for Christmas. So we'll see you next Tuesday. And I think that's the 15th. Same time, same place. Thank you.